Well, we're here, you guys, and this was definitely not on my bingo card for 2025. The good old boy, the Hulkster, Hulk Hogan, bitch, America's American, has gone on to glory. Well, allegedly, because a lot of people think he's in hell. But we're here to offer condolences regardless. We're not gonna drag too much. Oh my God. But this is a really big story. It is a really big deal. We're here not to really talk about Hulk Hogan's legacy, even though his racism was a big part of his legacy, no shade. We're just here to talk about the overall rumors surrounding this whole death here, because I can guarantee you guys this is gonna be a rabbit hole by this weekend. Yes, the Hulk Hogan death speculation is gonna be a complete and full rabbit hole. So we're back in the building once again. It's another sick and late edition of Wrestle Shade, the natural selection, bitch. Okay, prayer. We're in the building to talk about the Hulkster going on to glory, bitch. Okay, period. A lot of people still really dragging him in the comments. And I know he brought that on himself. Yes, he brought that on himself. But it's just a lot of conflicting stories. And I remember, even though I didn't personally report on this, I remember like anywhere from 2 to 3 days ago, there were some conflicting reports of his health condition overall, his surgery, what the operation consisted of. Okay, and he got all of these friends in the background, all of these alleged best friends in the background, giving us reports. But they weren't giving us full reports. They were all giving us half reports. But within that, you guys, some of these reports were saying that he was doing really bad. And some of these other reports coming from his family was saying that, oh no, everything's fine. He's recovering. He's doing well. He's resting. And so it's just giving, okay, we got two different parties here giving us two different stories, but they're all kind of related and surrounded by the Hulkster here. You know, everybody's in this space, but we're getting two different stories. And boom, 2 days later, the reports flash across all my devices at the same time. Literally, all of the notifications are going off. I'm like, bitch, what the hell? Who got kidnapped? Code green, code blue, code brown. What is this? What's going on here? And then I got the notification. Hulk Hogan, at the age of 71, passing away in a hospital in Clearwater, Florida. A lot of speculation surrounding this. Then our brains start churning when we're reading these articles, and they're saying that he was going through a serious health condition or a serious health issue, and they really weren't clear on what they administered, is what I'm talking about here. And they really weren't clear, you know, what type of procedure they administer. Of course, CPR, you know, if they had to get the defibrillators and all of the clear, get the chest together, shock the chest, try to get things back online. Or was it some other type of substance? You know, the thing that they have to put under your nose to get you back together, you know, to bring you back to. Because in other threads, in other places and spaces, there are stories that talk about the Hulkster's abuse of like alcohol and abuse of like other substances, drugs, you know. He was one of the steroid boys from back in the day. Even though that thing was touted to be common, it still did a lot of damage on the body. Of course, we know that he had a lot of different surgeries and all of that stuff back in the day. And it was alleged here recently that he was having a very, very small, very, very light neck procedure just to like deal with some pain issues and, you know, try to get things like, you know, back in a good alignment. And so I was trying to figure out, could you maybe go into cardiac arrest after having like a neck surgery like that? And what I found out was a little conflicting, so I didn't want to throw that in there. And then I also compared that with, going into cardiac arrest after, taking certain substances or certain drugs, what happens there. And I didn't want to, throw that into this pot either. So I said, I'm going to leave that alone. Maybe it was just his overall wear and tear of his body and him maybe, thinking he was taking care of himself by getting all of the surgeries, but really not taking care of himself. You got the steroid use, you got alcohol, you got the drugs. Okay, he was like a superstar to a certain degree. So you got the aspect of like travel, lack of sleep, stress within that realm. And then overshadowing all of that, you got the surgeries on top of all of that. Mind you, he talked himself about different addictions to medications and pain pills and stuff like that. So I'm just thinking, okay, you're 70, 71, and you're still having these surgeries, even though that this last surgery was touted to be not that bad of a surgery.
Some sources touted that the surgery was non-invasive, meaning that it was going to be a pretty easy amount of surgery, while the reality of this whole thing was that Hulk Hogan was having a major surgery, okay? They had to put him under, and it's also found out later on in investigating this whole thing that he actually lost his voice, damaged his vocal cords and trachea. So yeah, it was a pretty invasive surgery. Again, not to mention that it was also touted that this man was in a coma sometime in May earlier this year.
I'm just wondering though, what was the usage of the painkillers and the pain medication? Was he maybe still taking a lot of different meds like he was back in the day and or here recently? Because one of the friends, I think it's Jacques Clouseau, is saying that, or was saying that Hogan was doing fine and he was home recovering, while his other friend, Bubba, claims that Hulk Hogan was not doing all of that good, and it was given life support type of tease. It was giving hospice. It was giving, he was in the hospital. They decided that they wanted to have him home, and they set him up home, like transferred him home in a hospital bed. And so one friend, like I said, was saying that he was doing okay, but the other friend is saying that they had him home in sort of like a Michael Jackson type of situation where they really didn't want the public to know, where they were maybe trying to disguise what was going on here. And this is all online, you guys. You guys can go and look all of this up. And so it just makes me wonder, with all of this different speculation going on, and two, nothing really definitive coming out, nothing really in stone being produced for us yet, could Hulk Hogan have already been passed away 2 to 3 days ago, and they're just telling us today? Because the stories are very, very conflicting, and to me, if you are home on hospice, if you do go into any type of, event like that, yeah, they would take you to the hospital to maybe try to work on you, or the paramedics would try to maybe work on you at the home, in which in this case they did. But they said once they arrived to the hospital, he had already passed away. But when you're in hospice, I thought that they were giving you drugs to kind of ease that process, to kind of, further that process. Because in some articles too, it was stated that Hulk Hogan hadn't been heard from in months. I don't know. I'm not saying that it is in stone that they, put that out there concretely that he was on hospice. But that is one of the friends is reporting. And I just have to say, there was another report from one of his other close friends, no shade, no tea, and, we're going off of what the friends are saying here because, hopefully everybody's, we know somebody's not telling the truth. This is what we're trying to decipher, but we're hoping that somebody's telling the truth. Yes, anyway, it's claimed that Jimmy Hart even said that Hogan was not doing all of that well. There were some things that happened during the neck surgery that I don't think were maybe supposed to happen, and those things damaged Hogan's vocal cords. And so Hogan was actually unable to speak. This is what is being reported here. According to Jimmy Hart, Hogan is in a rough shape currently. Can't speak due to a damaged trachea, the vocal, the box, the throat. A source quoted that Hart is saying Hogan's not doing well. He can't talk. His trachea is damaged or something. He is struggling and it's not looking good at all. This was 2 days ago, you guys. I'm just trying to figure out how all the other syndicates and all the other, news places and spaces have not seen this and have not picked this up. This is why I say this is probably going to be a rabbit hole. Something really don't seem right with all of this. The energy of all of this don't seem right. Okay, period. You got the people out here, with the AI of Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy Osbourne, and now Hulk Hogan all in heaven. The people saying Hulk Hogan is not in heaven. The people saying Ozzy Osbourne is definitely not in heaven, bitch. Okay, period. I cannot take it, bitch. You got people posting the Iron Sheik, talking about fuck Hogan now, then, and forever. Okay, it's just a lot of things. I'm gonna run some clips for y'all. I'm gonna put some memes up and stuff for y'all so y'all can see. But you got, some of the people out there are mourning when it comes to a wrestling aspect, when it comes to, what Hulk Hogan did for the ring, brother. Okay, period. But when it comes to all the other stuff that we've seen Hulk Hogan display, and some of the other things we've seen him admit to in real life while he was here, a lot of people, really wasn't fucking with all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like with the racism, and how he did that waitress that was supposed to do the promotion for his launch of all these different products. And of course, we all know what Hulk Hogan has said and stated about his daughter's boyfriends. Okay. How he treated, other wrestlers of different ethnicities and other cultures, back in the day, And it's just very telling also as well, of course, we're getting outpours for Hogan. The people are really, spreading and sharing their condolences, but it also shows you what kind of place and space these people are in, because he's getting a lot of love from the Republican base. And that's just really telling. I mean, everybody loves wrestling, everybody likes sports, it's like, it's a cultural thing, But it's just very telling, what side is really mourning and what side is saying, yeah, okay, he was great, we appreciate, but am I gonna cry and go crazy? Especially with some of the things he said. I'm not doing that, Pookie. And so, yeah. You got different people have released different statements, you know what I'm saying? The Clearwater, Florida police. We have Kevin Nash has responded. Eric Bischoff reflects on him and Hulk Hogan's time. You got Linda McMahon sending shout outs. Ric Flair done broke down, y'all. Ric Flair done broke down in tears, bitch, crying, boo-hooing, hollering, bitch. Like, really, really just, it really didn't hit me until I saw Ric Flair crying and hooping and hollering, bitch. Like, when is Ric Flair ever not crying? But, that just really broke me down, bitch. Okay, period. 2-time Rolex wearing, crying and hooping and hollering, bitch. Period. It made you really realize that, oh my God, like, Hulk Hogan was amongst a certain era of wrestlers. And so, like, these girls are feeling like their time is near. Ultimate Warrior is gone, all of these other people. Macho Man is gone, And so it's like, damn, Ric Flair kind of is like, you know, the lone wolf or the last Mohican. But anyway, I don't want to get off to a tangent, but yeah. Ric Flair, Undertaker, Donald Trump, and Triple H, many others have posted, you know, sharing memories and sharing moments that they had with Hulk Hogan. So, that's pretty cool, but we got a lot of other speculation out there. Okay, period. Definitely hit me up in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the content. And I'll see you guys in the next installment, bitch.
Ooh, I'd have been down bad in them trenches, had to ride with that stick. Ooh, who gave you pills? Who gave that dust? Pluto Central.